Hello, everybody. Welcome to this week's episode of The Awesome with Cody. As usual, I'm your host, Cody, and today we are starting a brand new theme for July. I talked about it last week on the podcast. This month of July 2021, we are celebrating more of Brian K. Vaughan for the month of his birthday. He has a birthday on the 17th. Him and I share that in common, not the same day, but like 2 days apart, so we're like best friends and stuff. Anyhow, we will be once he physically meets me and we hang out for a bit and capture him and lock him away, or something, whatever. I don't know. Anyhow, I'm just kidding. I'm not gonna lock him up, but I will stalk him. So this whole month, I'll be talking about 4 different books. One of which I've talked a little bit about. That is Saga. That'll be the end of the month. But today I'm talking about We Stand on Guard. Next week, I will be talking about The Private Eye. The week after that, I'll be talking about The Walking Dead, The Alien. And then the last week, I'll be talking about Saga. So it should be fun, and feel free to read ahead. I'm not going to go into crazy detail on all of them. Kind of make them short and sweet, because I don't want to spoil some of them, because they got some pretty good surprises in them, and they're fun just to watch or to read and have fun with, and I'd like you to experience that for yourself. So with all of these, as of right now, they are all, let's see. We Stand on Guard, actually, yes, all of them. So We Stand on Guard, The Private Eye, and The Walking Dead, The Alien. All 3 of those are from Image Comics. All 3 of those are, all of these are from Image Comics. I should change that, all 4. But We Stand on Guard, which is today's book, next week's book, The Private Eye, and number 3, or week 3, The Walking Dead, The Alien. All of those are available in their entireties in a collection. Not together, but each series, through either trade or hardcover on some of them. Hardcover on all of them. Some of them are trades. I think right now, The Walking Dead, Alien, and The Private Eye are only hardcovers, but We Stand on Guard has both trade paperback and hardcovers if you're looking for those. And Saga has 3 books out. It is not over yet, so it's not complete, but you can catch up on the issues there, and I'll get into more of that in week 4. But as for today, We Stand on Guard. We Stand on Guard is a comic book released in 2015. Came out July of 2015. The first issue came out in July of 2015. It wrapped up in December of 2015. It is 6 different issues. You can, like I was saying before, you can actually get it in a trade capacity, either in a trade paperback or in a hardcover. Hardcover is pretty awesome. Trade paperback is awesome too, but hardcover is better. If you're me, it is available digitally as well if you want. It is not part of Comixology Unlimited, so you can't buy it through them. But if you, for example, if you didn't know, if you buy a comic book through digital means, through Amazon, you can get it on Comixology's app, so you don't have to download it separately or through a Kindle. You can read it through a Kindle too. It's the same way. But if you are building your Comixology Unlimited or Comixology anything library digitally, and you buy that book, if you haven't already figured this out, Comixology it'll show up on the app as well. So you just can't buy it through the app because it's digital media, and they don't let you buy digital media through the app. I don't know I'm explaining this to you, but if you want to get it, you can, and it's available. I don't know how much the price is because I didn't look it up. But anyways, on to what it's about. So We Stand on Guard is a fictional story, science fiction comic, created by Brian K. Vaughan and artist Steve, I believe it's pronounced Skroce, but I could be wrong, with colorist Matt Hollingsworth, which I've talked about it before on here before. So Steve Skroce, again, I could be saying that wrong, but I think that's how you say it, has dabbled in comic books for quite a bit, starting way back in 1993 with on Clive Barker series, Ecto-Kid, with the Wachowskis, and I'll get to that in a minute, but of the Matrix fame. After that, he worked on a couple series for cable, for the X-Men. Then he also worked on Spider-Man in like '96. Worked with for a little bit with Rob Liefeld on his book Youngblood. And then he went back to do pencils on Gambit series that was running in the late '90s. Then, having worked with authors Lana and Lily Wachowski on Ecto-Kid, they basically contacted him to create storyboards for The Matrix, which was used to basically pitch the movies or a movie to Warner Brothers. Hence, they picked it up, if you didn't know that, which is weird that you wouldn't know what The Matrix was. And then later on, he was brought back to work on storyboards for the other two movies in that original franchise. I don't know if he's working on the new one or not. I did not see it listed anywhere, but it's really not done, so I don't really know. But yeah, so that's essentially him. And he's worked on other things too, but he's worked on storyboards for iRobot, V for Vendetta, Speed Racer, Ninja Assassin, Cloud Atlas, and Jupiter Ascending. So there's a lot of his stuff with the Wachowskis, either something they're producing or something they're directing, and it's pretty cool. He also has done other stuff. He helped co-create a book called Doc Frankenstein, which was written by the Wachowskis in 2004. And then the book I'm talking about today, 2015, with Brian K. Vaughan, created We Stand on Guard. And then in 2017, he created his own book, which he wrote and drew, called Maestros, on Image Comics as well. So that is Steve Skroce, I believe is how you say his name, but I could be wrong. I usually am. And then Matt Hollingsworth. Matt Hollingsworth I've talked about on here before. He is huge, very, very popular. He's a cartoon or a colorist in comic books. He has worked on so many things, one of which I could have swore I talked about on this podcast, but I could not find the episode. I could have swore I recorded it. I might not have, but it was a book called The Wake, which I love, and I really wish I could have swore I talked about it before, because it was a book written by Scott Snyder, drawn by, oh my goodness, can't think of his name right now. It's spacing out on me. But I could have swore I talked about it on here before, but I'll go back and talk about it another time. Maybe if I do some horror stuff, maybe in October. I don't know. I'll probably forget about it. But I could have swore I've talked about The Wake before on here, but I could not find it. So weird. But anyhow, he also I've talked about him before because about Matt Hollingsworth, because he did the coloring on Tokyo Ghost, which is a book I talked about before on here with Rick Remender and the artist, I couldn't think of his name a minute ago, which is really funny, is Sean Murphy. He's the one that did the art for The Wake with Scott Snyder. Because I love Sean Murphy's art, and I don't think of why I couldn't think of his name. I could picture the art, but I couldn't picture the artist, which is weird. Anyways, so he did that book. I've talked about him before. He's worked on a lot of different things. He did a Catwoman series. He worked on The Eternals by Neil Gaiman. Great book, by the way, if you haven't seen that or read that, which I think is going to be a lot of what they use in the new movie, I think, but I could be wrong. John Romita Jr. did the pencils on that, so if you were wondering about that, that was way back in when was that? 2006 was when he did the Eternals book with Neil Gaiman and John Romita Jr. Then he's worked on a bunch of different movies I talked about before: Sky Captain and World Tomorrow, which I literally talked about, Fantastic Four, Serenity, Superman Returns, amongst other stuff did there too. Comic book wise, he also worked on the Hawkeye series that was written by Matt Fraction and drawn by David Aja. Fantastic, and again, which I believe is the basis for the stories they're using for the Hawkeye show on Disney Plus, coming out I think later this year, which it features Kate Bishop. Great series. Everyone should check that out and read those as well, which one day I'll probably talk about those because I love that series. The Matt Fraction and David Aja did, of course, with Matt's coloring, which is tremendous in that because of the art style they went with David. Anyhow, I'll talk about it another day. But that's Matt Hollingsworth. He's done a lot of other things. Those are the big highlights that I would recommend you check out, and I'll give you that list again. The Eternals by Neil Gaiman and John Romita Jr. You have the Hawkeye run with Matt Fraction and David Aja. You have Preacher by Vertigo Comics. I think you can get I don't know if they've actually reprinted those through DC Black Label or not yet, but you can get those too. His work with The Wake with Scott Snyder and Sean Phillips, as well as Tokyo Ghost, which again I've talked about on here before, with Rick Remender and Sean Phillips there too. So anyways, that's Matt Hollingsworth. He's an amazing colorist, one of my favorites in business at all, but also just working right now. Anyhow, let's talk about We Stand on Guard. So We Stand on Guard is a sci-fi story. It is set 100 years in our future, where stated in the description, a heroic band of Canadian citizens turned freedom fighters who must defend their homeland from the invasion of a technologically superior opponent, the United States of America. So this book is very interesting. It's a very fun read. It's a very quick read too. A lot of cool characters in it. I kind of wish there were more issues. Like maybe if you did 12 issues, but whatever. I'll take what I got. I don't want to spoil anything for the folks who will read it. And that is the spoiler of the United States being the opponent, or the superior opponent, isn't really a spoiler. It's the premise of the book, but you need to read all about it and enjoy it as much as I did, as well as Joe, I believe, really enjoyed it. I don't know if Mike actually ever read it, but it's fantastic, and I dug it. The art's fantastic. It has this very surreal, super real characterization in it, and it's just phenomenal. I love it so much, and I want everybody to read it and check it out. The whole story kind of unfolds in a how to put this. I'm not trying to avoid spoilers. I'm trying to remember, or trying to think of the best analogy for it, the way they kind of do it. But basically, it's told from the perspective of the freedom fighters. So you don't get a lot of overarching storytelling from a narrative. It's all from essentially the point of view of the freedom fighters. That's what I'm trying to think of. This is the perspective of them. Pretty cool. Real fun characters, like I said. Super fun story. Extremely violent. Not like blood everywhere, but it is pretty violent. So it's not for the kiddos. But really good story. You should check it out. I love that book a lot. And I remember reading the premise about it and thinking, what the hell? He's not even Canadian. Steve Skroce is Canadian though, so that helps out. And I believe Brian's wife is Canadian, and one of the reasons why I think he based the story that way. But it's fantastic. Y'all should read it. Check it out. I dig it. You should dig it. You should probably dig it too. But yeah, check it out. That's it for this week's episode of The Awesome Cody. I have been your host, Cody. And as usual, let's be awesome. I was going to say something else. Tune in next week when I talk more about Brian K. Vaughan stuff. But yeah, that's it. Let's be awesome. All right, bye.